So he's fighting fights against levels of competition that frankly don't warrant calling yourself a world champion. I would recognize at least a name if you had a legitimate high-level career. Jean-Luc Benoit, for example, you can at least recognize the name.
0 for 13, an excellent opponent of Andrew Tate. He's never won a single fight.
And this is a guy who's allegedly
0 for 13. Oh, this is Tommy Fury-esque.
If you knew what you were made of, then we would save the world.
What's going on, people? Welcome to the King Mono Show. So, I said I was done with this guy. I promised you I ain't gonna do any more Andrew Tate videos. I thought I'm gonna leave Andrew alone. After all, he's a namesake. But I had to cover this just one more time. He's like the gift that keeps on giving, because I did want to touch on the fact that he has this fake kickboxing career. And that's what was exposed to me when I watched him pathetically defend himself in this fight against Chase Moore, is that this dude's whole career is questionable. And I would have left it, but then these guys served me a nice little layup, you know what I mean? They gave me the alley-oop, and I'm gonna have to dunk it, you know? So exposing Andrew Tate's world champion kickboxing record. Is he legit? That's what we're gonna check out today. Is Andrew Tate's kickboxing record legit? Or is this dude just an entire fraud? A whole fraud with a fake career? I think you know where this is heading. So let's check this out, man.
Quick expose. Right. First things first, I want to talk about Andrew Tate's kickboxing career from the top. Andrew Tate's kickboxing career. So first things first, when we look at Tate, I want to mention there is a large window in his career where he is actually fighting. And I think it's his early 20s and his mid 20s. As you're seeing there, scroll down a little bit there for me, Ben. It's when he's winning and losing. So 2006.
So there's a window of legitimacy here, first of all. So he's not an entire fraud. And at the end of the day, you're getting into the ring and doing professional kickboxing fights, you know, and this is before he's kind of like the world-renowned Andrew Tate with the all of that monetary backing. You have to give a degree of respect to that. I mean, more than a degree. You have to give a lot of respect to it. He's a fighter at the end of the day. So that's not in question here. He is a fighter. He was a legitimate kickboxer. But what we want to know is about the world championships. That's what we're really bringing into question here.
Win, loss. Luke Barnett, who was in his camp training him, which we can kind of talk about that.
Former UFC fighter, so legit fight. Give him that. Legit fight.
This is what I'm saying, right? These are clearly legit fights. Mm-hmm. He actually is able to string together quite the win compilation here.
And this
throughout 2008 to 2010.
And this is where he gets his first quote-unquote world championship, which is the ISKA light heavyweight title. Now, ISKA, International Sport Karate Association, is a legit org. I'm not really discrediting that. But against Paul Randall, who, if we take a peek, only fought and lost to Andrew Tate. And you might go, well, it's...
Now, that's a bit of a question mark, isn't it? I mean, let's be honest with you, that is a bit of a red flag. A world title fight and it's your opponent's first professional fight. There's something dodgy going on there. Let's see if there's any more.
Paul Randall, that's early in his career. But then you look at Daniel Hughes, who he beats for another ISKA world title, and you see it's just Andrew Tate, lost in round number 1.
So that's a second world title fight and a second fighter who it appears to be their only professional fight. This is looking mighty sus. Let's carry on.
And you start scratching your head because you're like, ooh. And then we go to his third victory, right? This is 2013. This is the last world title through the ISKA that he had over Vincent Pettigee. And we go to Vincent's career, and it is 2 fights with Andrew Tate, split 1 apiece. So
2 fights of Andrew Tate is this guy's complete professional career. This This is looking a little bit leave it. I'm not gonna lie. It's looking a little bit leave it. No dear.
You know, you want to talk to me about being a world championship kickboxer, but the only people you have beaten are like the scrubbiest Uber drivers of all time. And that's entirely fair to say, right? You know, we spoke about this not that long ago, but
Scrubbiest Uber drivers is wild. It's wild. Well, I'm here for it, man. I'm not gonna lie.
you could go to Phuket, Thailand, and you could walk down the stretch of kickboxing gyms and Muay Thai gyms, and there is a world champion in every single one of them. Because of, you know, how sanctioning bodies work, just like this. I'm sure that if Andrew Tate came up through Waco, which is another tatami karate-based sanctioning body, and he won a couple Waco titles, he'd probably still call himself world champion. Even though that's not, like, it is, but it isn't in a sense.
So I think the thing that's being highlighted here is that there's a difference between being a world champion and being the world champion. Okay, that's what's being noted here. Okay, Andrew Tate was a world champion of a, you know, board, if you want to call them that, or a sanctioning body, if you want to call them that. That we don't know how many fighters they had. We don't know what the jurisdiction was, and clearly the bar was very low for being able to fight for that world title. You might just need to be a professional. He might have been the only one paying the bloody sanctioning fees that year. We don't know how this worked. All we know is that, you know, he's got a world title, but it's the type of world title that was probably in the midst of maybe a few dozen, maybe even hundreds of world titles he could have gone for at that weight class in that sport. So that's the big difference there.
That's right. It is, but it isn't. And that's kind of where it is with his 3-time world championship pedigree.
Yeah, exactly.
And those are, and by the way, 3-time world champion, those are the 3 world title fights. So the one where he won the 2 defenses, and every single world title fight he had was against someone for whom their only professional fight was fighting Andrew Tate. One of them fought him twice, the other 2 fought him once. That's not even worth mentioning. I'm going to be totally honest with you. Being a 3-time world champion, that's a bit of an embarrassment. I think knowing the details of that, you'd be better off just saying I was a professional kickboxer with a winning career. That's pretty tough in itself. You've got to get a load of respect from people for doing that alone. But then when we're looking at your world title fights and your world title, and they're just like the most it's the most leave it, most questionable, most dour record that I could think of in terms of, you know, picking up some kind of scrub belt. Let's be honest with you, man, it's not worth mentioning. And the worst thing about all of this is that none of this would have got exposed if Andrew Tate hadn't come back to fighting. If Andrew Tate hadn't got drunk on his own Kool-Aid and sparring 60 I could do a video about that, but there's another creator called Napa who did a really good video about Andrew Tate and his legendary sparring 60 guys in a row and how bad it is. This is exactly the kind of self-delusion he got himself wrapped up in, which allowed him to come back and lose against, you know, debatably probably the easiest boxing fight in terms of like a professional boxing fight, you know, in terms of the opponent being very rudimentary, one of the easiest fights he could have gone for. And he lost it with flying colours. And that's because he was drunk on his own red pill Kool-Aid. So, you know, we're all here for the Andrew Tate laugh. Let's laugh at Andrew Tate, because why not? Why not? He doesn't deserve anything less.
Exactly. So he's fighting fights against levels of competition that frankly don't warrant calling yourself a world champion. Because I've followed kickboxing pretty closely in this time, actually. You know, it was before I really got into the MMA and boxing scene. I was quite into the kickboxing scene. I would recognize at least a name if you had a legitimate high-level career. Jean-Luc Benoit, for example, you know, you can at least recognize the name.
0 for 13. An excellent opponent of Andrew Tate. He's never won a single fight.
And this is a guy who's allegedly
0 for 13. Oh, this is Tommy Fury-esque. Tommy Fury's got a very similar record in boxing. This is hilarious. When you people get these manufactured records, I want to see some of these L's that he's got, because I bet some of these people he's lost against are complete bums as well. This is
already a world champion fighting a guy who's 0-13. You would never see that in the realm of boxing. You would never see that in the realm of legitimate.
I disagree. Tyson Fury would do that all day long. Tyson Fury being the WBC world champ for an MMA fighter who had never been in the ring before. So, he doesn't... There are fighters out there who have a very low bar for professionalism. So it's not entirely unheard of. Is it something we should respect? Absolutely not.
Sanctioning bodies. And again, not to knock our own champs over at Misfits, if Chase Demore walked up to, for example, who we'll talk about later, Anthony Joshua, and said, "Hey, champ, I'm also a world champion in boxing," everybody kind of knows that there's a different caliber of champion that we're talking about here. That's the situation with Andrew Tate. Is this guy was not a glory champion. He was not a K1 champion. He did not fight at the highest levels of kickboxing. He did actually have a fight in which he lost against a fighter who eventually went on to fight against Alex Pereira, who's the UFC champion, one of the greatest combat sports athletes of all time. So in 2012, he had a fight against a legitimate competition. We watched the fight, me and Ben. Good back and forth fight, close fight. He lost it. Legit fights all the way up till 2015. And Ben, I know at least, that they're legit because he's losing.
I'll tell you one thing though, Andrew Tate can kick. There's no two ways about it. Like, look, I'm not saying this guy's a soft. I'm not saying he's soft. Yeah, anyone who, and I did say this actually in my first video, in a street fight, Andrew Tate. If Andrew Tate fights someone on the street who's the same size as him, I gave him a 95% chance of winning that, just based on the fact that he's trained. And dude can throw hands and feet. He's not soft. He is not soft. So anyone who's out there thinking that they're gonna think he looks a bit sweet and they might step to him, be careful, because he can throw his legs in the air very quickly, and he even did that when he was training. I'm saying he's not a good boxer. Okay, I'm saying he lacks fundamentals when it comes to boxing. He lacks snap. He lacks weight behind his punches. He lacks head movement. Just some real fundamentals that you can only get really through training and drilling and sparring time and time again. It's stuff that you just won't pick up overnight in terms of boxing. But in terms of fighting, don't get too, don't start drinking the Andrew Tate Kool-Aid, because he will still kick you in the face, just to be real. Anyone out there who's thinking that he's looking a bit sweet out there, Andrew Tate will kick you up. I'll tell you that now.
Exactly.
And he just was not, pause it here for me, because he just was not the caliber of fighter that was like putting together these amazing win streaks. So his caliber of kickboxer, like we're saying, he was a legitimate kickboxer. The guy actually fought. Like, that was a big part of his life. He was legitimately a kickboxer.
He was. So I'll give him that. He was a little, but he just wasn't high level. And the world championships, if he wasn't probably smart and maneuvering, because I'd imagine he's always had this kind of like strategic side to him, he wouldn't even have those world titles to his name. He knew what it meant to get that fight. I'm sure he just kind of like did a bit of hustling, pulled a few strings, called in a few favors in order to get the fights against that very low level opposition in order to get those world titles. That would be kind of like bread and butter Andrew Tate style. So yeah, that's kind of what he does.
He just wasn't a world champion, high level quality kickboxer. That never happened. That was never part of his career. I don't know where the ego is involved, where he had to kind of spin this web that he was a legitimate world champion.
Well, we do know where he had to spin this web, because he's selling courses and he's saying, I'm the hardest guy on the planet. And there's no doubt it exponentially improved the public perception of who he was and what he was capable of. It definitely helped him amongst his community of teenagers who fund his lifestyle and fund his Bugattis. His Bugattis, they're funded by, all of these little incels who are desperate to be like Andrew Tate. And what's better than the person who views themselves as the top dog, the top alpha male, also being a world champion kickboxer, also being someone who could basically kick anyone's ass, you know. And everybody fell for it. Loads of people fell for it. The reality is that he was a average kickboxer, which is still somewhat commendable, but a poor boxer. That's the reality of the situation. And everyone's seen him now get fisted by pink gloves. So
I mean,
But
I'll tell
again,
you,
it's just strange.
it's to live the alpha male fantasy, right? It's the top G character that he plays. You know, putting tweets like this up, which he sent out September 22nd last year. I couldn't live with myself as a man if I didn't spend my 20s fighting. Imagine getting old knowing that for an entire decade at the height of masculine power, you didn't once test yourself in combat against a worthy adversary. Full highlights of his wins against, again, plumbers and electricians and, you know, kids with disabilities.
he knows how to say plumbers, electricians, and kids. He's gonna say with disabilities.
I don't know. Like it's
my God,
it's
man.
just crazy. It's just crazy the people that he beat, and then the amount of talk he has that he just doesn't back up. But like you mentioned, he kept saying, "I haven't fought for 10 years. I haven't fought for 10 years," and that confused me because I even said on the broadcast, even said during fight week, like, "Oh, you know, it's 5 years removed from competition. 5 years removed from competition." Even though I had seen what those 2020 bouts looked like, which was the opponent who you guessed it, only fought Andrew Tate, and looks like they did maybe 3 or 4 months at a cardio kickboxing gym, and I think a head kick that
See, that head kick, that was enough. I'm telling you, a head kick connects. It's not like someone hitting you with an overhand right. Like a kick is like taking a baseball bat to the head. And when you see those go, and this guy here has no business being in a ring. This guy, oh my goodness me, this is horrendous.
doesn't connect whatsoever. No real effective.
He's dropped to the floor just out of the fear of getting a head kick. And this is what all of Andrew Tate's sparring looks like as well. This is the level of opposition, and this is where his head got too big. And I get it. He saw Chase the Moor. He thought Chase the Moor probably was made of the same minerals as all of his opposition, and it just turned out, in spite of the fact that Chase the Moor had no talent, he had far more balls than any of the guys Andrew Tate's ever stepped into the ring with, and he ended up taking an L.
Ground and pound or follow-up strikes.
Well, there's no
And,
ground pound. This is kickboxing, by the way. Just with
This
MMA
is
gloves.
kickboxing. Apologies.
Yeah, you should know that. There's no ground and pound in kickboxing, man. Come on.
Wouldn't be
But he
shocked if
misses-
threw ground and pound.
He misses all those follow-up shots there. So the head kick does not land. Can you slow it down, Ben?
Yep. But just so you guys see, and then right, clearly he's conscious, walking forward, and then the fight's off. But yeah, so let's take it back to this.
I didn't want the fight. He was stumbling forward just because he didn't want any more.
So something
blow.
is amok, as they would say. Like, something is not right with this fight. I will never just yell fixed. I'll never yell that. But it's very clear
Let's have a look at this head kick.
that this guy does not want to be in here with him.
Yeah, well, we
So
won't yell
he's-
it, but we'll
That was a good fake of a little question mark kick there. And then
say it
come
quietly.
on,
Yeah,
Look at
well,
this.
I'm just
First
saying-
off,
Andrew is setting this fight up
He's posted him up with the left.
to pad his record, to maybe make himself feel good. He is surging in popularity at this time as well. Remember, this is 2020. This is the start of Andrew Tate as we know him.
So yeah, they're getting to the meat and bones of the motives now.
So there is, again, this need to validate this kickboxing career that nobody witnessed. And that's the reality as well, is no one watched his kickboxing career. And that's why he kind of got away with
No kick. I want to see it. Here comes the head kick.
calling himself a world champion for so long.
Definitely.
That
missed.
head kick doesn't land.
It was snappy
Yeah.
though.
This is
I'm
not a
sorry.
clean head
It
kick.
was very snappy.
It's
Whoop.
nowhere near him.
No.
But it definitely
No.
misses.
Maybe touches
Completely.
his shoulder,
Yeah.
and then he is again still conscious. And I don't know what nobody teaches it. In no combat sports gym, whether it's MMA, kickboxing, nobody teaches that stance. Misses on the left, doesn't really connect on the right. Down he goes, and then you guys.
That was just pure fear. The way that guy responded is exactly like you'd expect a guy who gets into a fight in a pub, and then he's shocked that the guy in front of him gets into a stance like a professional fighter. he doesn't want it anymore. He doesn't want it anymore. Like I can't even say that this guy's been paid to lose. I think like he probably just got into the ring, probably had a bet with a mate. I bet you wouldn't fight a professional kickboxing fight. He was like, I would do it. What are you talking about? How much you want? 50 quid, I mean, that's what he looks like. There's no technique here. There's no experience. He has no business being in that ring. This is unbelievable.
Saw the fight was over and it was stopped.
Yeah.
It just is difficult for me, especially when Andrew Tate himself is saying, I haven't fought in 10 years, to not call those fake fights, because Tate himself is calling that a fake fight.
Yeah, and there's no doubt about it. Fake fights galore. So there you go, just a little bit of additional comedy served up by the top G. It turns out that not only can he not box, not only is his kickboxing career questionable, we now have definitive proof that his world titles aren't worth a lick. They're not worth a dime. They are entirely worthless, and his entire kickboxing career was that of a pretty average fighter, someone that a lot of people with a bit of training will probably have a bit of a chance against. Once again, not knocking the fact that he was a legitimate fighter, he was, but there's a large question mark looming over the legitimacy of the level of fighting he managed to get to. So there you go. Andrew Tate, the gift that keeps on giving, has gifted us with another bit of insight. Shout out to this channel, Roundhouse Radio, for doing due diligence so that I could just react to it. Hope you've enjoyed it. Check you out in the next one. Peace.
If you knew what you were made of, then we would save